Thank you to the people who are supporting me on Ko-fi. You guys are keeping me alive. The room was dark, illuminated only by candles. The cultists around you were humming and stomping their feet. And where were you? In the center, strapped to a large stone table onto which symbols were etched into. You were a sacrifice. Honestly, up until the moment you had been chained to the table, you thought someone would interfere. Or maybe say something around the lines of, let's summon something else then. After all, any other attempt failed except that one time, and the demon was a stupid, useless clown. Your master, the cult leader, was reciting a long, drawn-out incantation. A black stone dagger held in his hand, his voice truly bombastic. He was born for this, though maybe for once you wished he wasn't. The summoning was supposed to bring forth a demonette. If no one in the cult was misinterpreting the texts, a demonette was a female violence demon, whom presents hexing men to brutally punish one another. Aaron just assumed she would be a war demon or something. The summoning required a circle made from rabbit's blood. Thankfully, you didn't have to see that. And probably some of the other girls in the cult were glad as well. Red candles that also needed to have red flames. The incantation, with the rhythmic stomping and humming, the runes etched into the stone slate table. The cult didn't have access to a proper altar, so this had to suffice. But most importantly, you. You were dressed in a quite revealing bikini, made out of bandicoot pelts of all things. This thing was what was confusing to you. For one, it was quite itchy, and who the heck even knows what a bandicoot is? As in the animal kind, not video game kind. And finally, on your stomach was a symbol drawn from opossum blood as well. The rune looked like a strange corruption of the symbol for femininity, by making the cross round and the circle square. For some reason, this minor change made it really ominous to you. You closed your eyes. The incantation was reaching its final moments. A singular tear ran down your face. And then the cult gasped. Some even squeaked, though you weren't feeling any pain.
Well, this is unexpected,
muttered the voice of your cult leader above you. Slowly you opened one eye, before huffing yourself. Above the symbol on your stomach hovered a tiny red portal, out of which a white hand with really long black fingernails had grabbed the wrists of your master, with its dagger just mere inches from your chest. Impatiently, the hand was tapped against your master's wrist. He made motions to retreat his hand, and the demon let go. He then dropped the dagger on the floor. The hand then gave a thumbs up before giving him the finger. A few cultists chuckled. You, on the other hand, were enthralled. And then a voice spoke. It was your voice, out of your mouth. It was moving on its own. Holy crap. You are possessed right now! You blushed hard. This was embarrassing and so fascinating. The voice spoke calmly. What are you doing, you fools? Confused, everyone just stared at you. You're about to slaughter a beautiful little piggy. Now your master realized you'd been possessed. Meanwhile, the hand was gesturing quite angrily. probably belonged to the same being that was possessing you right now. She is unsullied, untouched, and such a beauty.
I do apologize, but that was written in the ritual. We're simply doing what it asked of us,
said your master. Yes, the ritual. It was fine until that last bit. I mean, it was good enough to get my attention, I mean. You could feel the tension in the air. Tell me, mortal scumbag, what did the ritual ask you to do with the woman?
Touch the untouched one with the might of 1,000 daggers.
Silence.
Idiot.
This actually made people laugh out loud.
Why would you think a succubus wanted this?
She pointed at you now.
This girl to be harmed. She's perfect for a summoning of one of us. But not like this.
Succubus?
The silence that followed was deafening. Even the hand didn't know how to react. Then it once again pointed at you very quietly. Your mouth formed the words, "Just wait, this is my favorite part when this happens. 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
groaned your master. He had just realized the double meaning of the words of the incantation and summoning ritual. He stepped away in embarrassment, while another cultist shouted,
Wait, so how often does this happen to you?
The demon groaned. Ugh, all the time. You don't know how many undeserving women I'm forced to save because no one here understands proper metaphors and symbolism of the Sumeric era. She then pointed at someone in the cultist circle. You there, big guy. I like you. You smell like meat. And that makes me horny. Come over here. The hand pointed at Brother Bob, the cult's enforcer. The man was a giant and known serial endgamer, whose fury had only been contained by the cult's influence. The man followed the order and stepped to your side.
Yes, miss?
He asked. Still pointing at him, the demon continued. I want you to get her out of this room once I'm done insulting your leader for his incompetence when it came to summoning me. Got it? He tilted his head. No, not like that. You cannibals make me weak sometimes, she hummed. Give her cloves, then take her out for dinner. No, again, not like that. I mean actual food. I can feel something between the two of you. She might not know it, but she wants you. And you want her. Again, not like that. Stop thinking about that. You blushed. See? She likes you. The demon chuckled. You tried to look away, but you weren't really in charge of your own body right now. So, big guy, repeat after me. Bob blinked. I will not hurt this woman.
I will not hurt this woman.
Only if she wants me to.
Only if she wants me to.
Good. Now be a good boy and step back to the flock, and let me insult you some more.
Good, now be a...
I love stupid guys so much. Shut up. Stop repeating what I'm saying. It took the demon an entire hour of tirades to finally wave goodbye. She really was pissed. You almost got game ended in this ritual. It left your master crying and kneeling before the altar. A few higher-ranking members were gently patting his back. Despite the bizarreness of the events, though, they still saw something beyond human understanding happening before their eyes, which did mean there was a world beyond. If anything, this entire encounter had both humbled them but also strengthened their beliefs in their glorious leader. So as one half was calming the prophet, the other half was helping you. Bob had placed one of the cult's red cloaks on your back to cover you up. Others were deeply apologizing to you, while also asking you how it felt to be both blessed and possessed at the same time. This technically had been a second successful summoning session. It was then suddenly a hand was pressed against your back. It was Bob. The cult had 3 uniforms. Initiates, who had the cult's amulet and a hood that showed the initiate's face quite well. Cult proper wore full head covering and an expensive red robe. And then there was Bob. His hood didn't cover his entire face, and had been specifically designed to show off the lower half of his face. This was initially so that he could consume while out on cult activities, but it also had the effect that everyone saw when he was giving off intimidating smiles. And right now, he was looking down at you. God, he was so much taller than you. Salvia stained his lips as he stared, pushing you forward, clearly following the demon's order of getting you out of that room. With your eyes focused on the ground, you let him guide you outside, your naked feet pitter-pattering on the cold gravel of the outside. That led to the abandoned church the cult had used for the summoning. Bob opened his van, letting you crawl into the passenger seat.
So, what do you think she meant when she said she's feeling a connection?
You hushed. His grin widened as he turned the keys.
Well, I might be overstepping my boundaries with you, Sister Catherine.
Catherine, with a C, was your cult-given nickname. The only person to know everyone's full real name was your leader. Bob Velseb, however, due to his standing in the cult, was the obvious exemption.
But I think she'd like us to fornicate.
You blushed hard, staring down at your naked feet. That was so embarrassing.
Trust me, I would force myself on you.
Meekly replied.
I do think she meant more in a romantic kind of way. Not just, fornicating.
The man stopped the car, then blinked. Your heart jumped.
Jeez, I haven't thought of that. I thought we were just meant to, you know.
You deadpanned.
Well, that's just part of our...
A car honk took you by surprise and you squeaked. Bob's smile widened as he reached for the door. You, meanwhile, leaped forward. No. Grabbing his wrist, you looked up into the darkness of his hood. No E.T. Hume, got it? No E.T. Hume. Alright?
No E.T. Hume.
The angry driver behind the stopped van now moved past your vehicle quite fast. No E.T. the Hume, okay? Bob rolled his eyes, pushing you back onto your seat.
Don't patronize me.
Bob continued to drive. You soon returned to the quiet town you called home. It was still a surprise to you how many people were in the cult, specifically store clerks and food workers. It was like every important person was there, at least the important people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. Your stomach suddenly grumbled, and Bob looked at you.
Sorry. I haven't eaten today.
I saw no point. I thought I'm gonna die tonight. Bob rolled his eyes and took a turn to the right at the next traffic light.
Hey, that's not the way home.
My place of employment.
said Bob, interrupting you. And a few minutes later he stopped next to a fast food place.
Are you feeding people your...
I know what you're thinking, and no, I would like to share my meals.
Thank God, you thought. You followed him inside. You threw on the fryer and the grill in the kitchen, while you sat down on a stool in front of the restaurant's bar. It was about 2 a.m., maybe 3 a.m. The clock in the place stopped working, so there wasn't any way to tell. The place must have been closed for a while now. With his hood pulled back, revealing his face, Bob peeked from the kitchen into the dining room.
What do you want?
Surprise me. He rolled his eyes but returned to work. Meanwhile, you sat there, in your itchy pelt bikini. The cloak still giving you some much-needed warmth. Only now that you were sitting here in silence, you realized how close you had been to game ending tonight. In mild shock, you laid down your head on the bar, staring at the kitchen sign, blankly. Bob returned after a while with your food, fries and a chili cheeseburger. That was oddly specific. We should fuck, you muttered. He blinked.
Wait, what?
Like, not right now, of course, but maybe tonight. I don't want to be put in this scenario again. Who's to say our leader doesn't find another untouched sacrifice summoning incantation? Bob chuckled. Absent-mindedly you grabbed a fry, and without raising your head you ate it. Though you blinked, tears filling your eyes. The relief of knowing you wouldn't be game ended just yet made these the best fries you ever had. Bob took notice and smugly leaned against the counter. His grin made you feel weak.
Eat, Sister Catherine. You deserve it.
With a slight, terrible feeling in your gut, you began eating the meal, while Bob eyed you hungrily. The burger was way too spicy though, but you managed to pull through. As you sat down back in the van, however, he couldn't stop looking at you.
What? I guess I'm waiting for confirmation. Now that your belly is full, and you calm down a bit.
As you deadpanned in response, you snapped your fingers to make him look at you. And before he could say anything, you took hold of his round face, eagerly kissing him on the mouth. He shivered a bit. He definitely wasn't expecting that. Bob's eyes rolled back in enjoyment as he felt your tongue enter his mouth. It still tasted like the beef from the burger. He blushed, heart pumping, and as you removed your head from his face, a long line of spittle connected your mouths. You said, almost drunkenly, "Confirmation enough, big guy?" Brother Bob took hold of the key, turning on the ignition.
Yes, Sister Catherine,
he muttered, flustered and horny. It was Halloween, the spookiest time of the year. You lived in a decently sized suburb, and had a job you could easily do from home. So life was simple. As it had been a self-made tradition, you were watching Corpse Bride on your laptop, while shoving mountains of sweetened popcorn down your throat. Your doorbell suddenly rang. Pausing the movie, setting down your popcorn bucket, and walking over to the front door, you quietly looked for the peephole. Seeing two kids, one dressed as a skeleton, the other as a pumpkin. Taking a deep breath, You reached into a drawer you had set up next to the doorframe, pulling out a pack of chocolate bars. Honestly, you didn't purposefully prepare at all for trick-or-treat. You only recently moved here half a year ago, and in the city you lived in previously, trick-or-treat wasn't really done, as it was considered both too dangerous and too racially unaware, as the mayor had put it. It was just luck that last month at your local grocery chain, this brand of chocolate bars was reduced by 50%, and saw hard candies by 60%. Since you were always hamster shopping due to how expensive gas was these days, you coincidentally now had more than enough sweets to give out. You opened your door with a somewhat forced smile.
Trick or treat!
With a quiet sigh, you threw 2 bars into the kids' sacks.
Thank you!
As the boys walked off, you remained at the door. Your first trick or treat, and you were too old to participate. Just your luck, huh? Checking the roads, there were a few more trick-or-treaters out, but it seemed like they were going in the other direction. Scratching the back of your neck, you walked back in, returning to your movie. However, it wasn't long until the doorbell rang again. Damn it. You just reached the part where the little boy approaches the zombie and very cutely just goes, "Grandpa?" Which, in your opinion, was the movie's emotional climax, the rest just being the satisfying wrap-up. Suppressing your grumpiness, you once again got up. But as you looked through the peephole, all you could see was a dark red mass. Probably just a parent with their kid. However, as you opened the door, there was no one there. Okay, you have seen enough horror movies. Your heart began to pound as you slammed the door shut, immediately locking it, and pushing the drawer against the wood just in case. You then rushed from window to window, making sure they were sealed, and the shutters pulled down. However, in your haste, you always just barely failed to notice the big shadow looming, always in just a corner. He was already inside, and all you did was just lock yourself in a cage with the hungry lion. Shivering, you sat back down in front of your laptop, a mallet for self-defense placed next to you. However, just as Victor was reciting his vows to the titular corpse bride, you heard heavy footsteps coming closer to you. Honestly, you wanted to scream. You really did. But that would make things worse. Your shaking hand crept closer and closer to the mallet. However, just as your fingers took hold of it, something cold and sharp and hard was pressed against your throat. A deep voice whispering right into your ear. Did you know it only takes 20 to 60 seconds for a drop of blood to travel from the heart through your body and back to the heart again? Multiple questions went through your brain at the same split second. Obviously, you were in a similar scenario before in the city, but you felt like this wasn't just a simple mugging. The guy's hand was painted red, his wrists leading into the sleeve of a blood-red turtleneck sweatshirt. Turning around to hit him with the mallet was out of the question. It would take too long. And accepting your fate? Also a no. The only thing you could think of was to kick your bucket of popcorn. And so you did. Just in the right way to shower the both of you in roasted treats. Meanwhile, the plastic bucket hit his head with a loud conk. The intruder grunted as you jumped off your sofa, running into your kitchen, readying yourself. Seconds later, he appeared at the kitchen's entrance. He was wearing a red devil mask with horns. A large hole in the mask showed his wide, grinning mouth. In his right hand, he was holding a large knife. Your attacker was heavily built. Truthfully, with a deadbot like that, if he wasn't trying to kill you, you'd probably ask him to buy you a drink or two at a bar and then see where the night goes. You were into stuff like that. He stopped just a few feet away from you. His crazy eyes were staring right at your face. Fun fact. A human heart can still beat outside the body. Huh, I actually knew that one, you said. And he blinked. Confused. Almost taken aback. He probably had come up with the perfect comeback to whatever you were saying, except for that. He almost shrugged. You used his daze to quickly snuck past him. Grabbing your phone, you rushed upstairs. Yeah, sure, horror movie cliches number 3. Run outside, not upstairs, where you're trapped even more. Thing is, the front door was still locked with a drawer right in front of it, so that was definitely out of the question. So hiding until he lost interest seemed to be the best plan of action. Your first idea was to hide in the cupboard under your sink in the bathroom. It was crammed, and the smell of toilet cleaner made you a little nauseous. Minutes passed. Yet you didn't dare type into your phone. The beeps and doots would give your spot definitely away. And just like a cheesy horror game, you suddenly heard the bathroom door open. Quietly so. Lightly, the red guy stepped inside. The tension was killing you, but he would probably too. And then, the small door to the cupboard flung open. You turned to look at your attacker, his giant hand taking hold of your collar as he threw you out. He was heaving, looking at you angrily. Fun fact. In an average lifetime, the human heart pumps 1.5 million barrels of blood. Desperately, you got on all fours and quickly crawled forward. The intruder was impressed, seeing how quickly you did so. He smiled, letting the chase continue just for a little bit longer. You were so much fun to chase. Back in your living room, you couldn't help but notice that all your popcorn was gone. Taking all the knowledge of horror cliches you had acquired over the years, you took that as your hint. After all, every little bit mattered. You must have been busy eating it while you were hiding. Immediately you went to your front door, tearing open the drawers. Sadly, the moment you grabbed the package of candy bars, something sharp and hard was pressed against your back. Wait, you stuttered, pleading, holding up the bag. Who wants candy? You sounded way too chipper for the scenario, but that was the only thing you could think of. Without saying a word, the guy just grabbed the candy bars out of your hand, tearing the wrapper open with his teeth, and shoving the peanut butter-filled chocolate treat into his mouth. Alright, that was a start. However, he reached the end of the bars at record speed. His mouth and teeth covered in brown chocolate, he turned his attention back to you. However, you were already at the next candy hiding spot. And to avoid yourself from overindulging on sweets, you hid them everywhere around the house. The more you made getting candy a hassle, the less likely you were to binge on them after all. I have a bunch, like sugar butts, I have Mr. Fuzzy Sour tokens, extra bubbly. I like the apple ones myself a lot. I also got Monster Mash, and I got... As you were busy counting your stored sugary treats, you didn't notice him coming closer to you. Not until his heavy hand slammed on your shoulder. Your eyes met his. His size was intimidating.
How about a milk, Molar?
You held up the tooth-shaped sweet. The killer just took it right out of your hand and put it in his mouth, crunching it immediately.
You're supposed to suck on them for a bit. This can't be good for you.
After that, you forced him down on your couch by giving him all the various packages. You really had amassed a ton of candy over the year, haven't you? You should really hide them in a more obvious spot. But who could ignore bargaining such as a 5-pack of Pop-Tarts for only $1.50? Honestly, for some time you had considered finding a new hobby. Driving all across America for some discounted food was something your friends had been making fun of for quite some time. And it was right now saving your life. With a pounding heart, you sat down next to him as you offered him sweet after sweet. It took almost 2 hours of munching and crunching when you suddenly realized he had devoured it all. And immediately he reached for his knife again. Taking a deep breath, you had an idea. If candy was the only thing keeping you alive, maybe you could twist his definition of candy a little and get away that way. You bit your lower lip and opened the first few buttons of your blouse.
You know, some people call me sweet candy. Maybe you'd like that?
You blushed as he stared down at your cleavage. Unable to believe that this was actually turning you on, you put more effort into it. You pushed yourself against his massive body, gently licking his neck. He shivered in delight, and your eyes flashed, staring at his knife. His grip wasn't so tight around it anymore. So as you pushed him further down on the sofa, you gingerly took hold of the blade and slowly, carefully, pulled it out of his hand. However, this just seemed to make him more wild, as he now wrapped both of his massive arms tightly around your small frame. He was cuddling you so hard it made it difficult to breathe, practically able to hear the creak of your bones. This guy was definitely strong enough to snap you like a twig. To keep the flow of intimacy up, as to not make him regain his bloodthirst, instead of gasping for air, you reached for his belt, somehow managing to unbuckle it without looking. You refocused now on his mouth, the opening in his mask just big enough for you to kiss him right on the lips. It was then his right hand reached up, grabbing a big tuft of your hair, forcefully holding you in place, before his large tongue made its way into your mouth. It tasted like a cacophony of the sweets you had hand-fed him this past hour. Small bits and pieces of various nuts and shredded hard candy still sprinkled on it. You moaned into his mouth unintentionally, as you let him take control over the situation. Bob awoke an hour later, your unclothed form seemingly asleep right next to him. He stretched himself lazily, rubbed over his belly and grabbed his knife and pants. This really would have been a hassle had you taken off his beloved turtleneck too. And without much respect for your sleep, he stomped into your kitchen, climbing out of the same window he had entered in. Meanwhile, your eyes were wide open. You had just slept with a serial killer. And you liked it. You waited in your compromising position for a few minutes, before quickly rushing into your kitchen, this time making sure the window was definitely locked shut. You woke up with a ringing in your ears. Always those nightmares. Tired, you wandered into your bathroom, washing your face, and slapping your face with that revitalizing cream. Of course, you didn't need it. You didn't have any wrinkles. But you needed it because the cream felt incredibly cold on your skin. It helped you wake up in the morning, especially after those terrible nightmares you were suffering from. The reason for your sleep terrors was your position in a local cult. Your leader had mentioned many times that new acolytes, especially the ones who didn't fully believe in the words of Lord Baphomet just yet, would suffer visions during sleep. Yeah, sure, you weren't anywhere near the upper hierarchy, but still high enough to know some members under the mask. You walked downstairs, drowsy still. In your kitchen, you grabbed yourself an energy drink. It would just take way too long for your mind to wait for coffee, before sitting down in front of your PC. Rubbing your eyes and downing the super sour drink, your attention turned to your emails. You always check them first thing in the morning. And as you click the tab, your eyes widen. A message from the cult was at the top of the list. With shaking hands, you moved your mouth, clicking it. The email was an image, completely black, with white text reading, 10 a.m., be at home. You gulped as you gazed slowly towards your clock. 9:56. Holy crap, you almost missed this. Scared, you sprinted up into your bedroom. From a nightstand, you procured the talisman that all members wore. Quickly swiping over your clothes to make yourself look more decent. Your clothes were dirty and crumbly. You should really make it a daily ritual to change your clothes as well after waking up. But now there was no time to change, and just as you were rushing back downstairs, your front doorbell rang. A quick glance at your living room clock, 10 a.m. sharp. There on the second as always. With a heavily beating heart, you opened your door, only to be met by a giant man. Your eyes widened. It was Brother Bob. His lips curled up into a wide smile. You knew the cannibal was one of the more loose canons of your faith, so this was bad, really bad. "Good morning," he said in a cheerful tone. "Did you make a mistake? Was he here to execute you for failing to be 100% devoted?"
"Big man told me to tell you something."
You gulped loudly.
"You're my secret Santa this year."
You blinked. Wait, what? You opened your mouth slightly before closing it. You genuinely didn't expect that.
"Don't disappoint me. I haven't eaten in a while."
It was a feeling that could only be described as being kicked in your stomach. Bob turned around, but before he could leave, you shouted back, Wait. Who's my secret Santa?" His face turned to you.
"Ah, yes.
It's me. That's how it works. Why else do you think we never have an uneven amount of members? Your face turned into a frown as you closed your door. Dirt, you said. This is so dirt, you shouted. Saying dirt instead of an expletive had been taught to you by your mother. She was a devout Christian. Ironic, really. Really ironic. Considering the item of devil worship around your neck. You retreated to your computer. Christmas was in 3 days. All shops were still open. You really needed to go out and buy something. But what in the world could you buy for this threatening man? Immediately, you went into the cult's group chats. The younger members, such as yourself, used to communicate. Yes, admittedly, for low ranks like you, this was all just a big LARP. That only got very serious sometimes. In fact, you yourself didn't have one of those cool ropes just yet. But what you got instead of supportive comments or suggestions of what present to give to Bob Velseb, the most violent member of the cult, was mockery, rest in peace messages, and worst of all, memes about how fucked your situation was. Angrily, you threw your phone at the wall, a loud crack indicating that you broke its screen. Again. You are prone to shots of anger like this, almost always instantly regretting them. So this was common. Sighing, you picked up your phone. Still going off with message beeps despite the broken screen. You suppressed a tear. Might as well go to the mall. The only place which still had a phone repair shop open. Maybe you get the present idea there. You arrived at the mall 2 hours later. The phone repair shop was right at the entrance, to give customers a come by, shop, and when you're done, your phone is restored kinda experience. You gave the man behind the counter your phone. He just looked you up and down before putting the phone away. Your Santa will come visit you on the 25th at midnight. Be there. You blinked. What? What? You noticed the golden chain around his neck that vanished under his overalls. Oh, sure. I'll be sure to remember that. The man gruffed, before turning to his work. These kinds of interactions happened to you surprisingly often. It was almost as if 1/3 of your town's population was a member of your group, while the others were blissfully unaware. You quietly and almost meekly pushed your cart for the store. You stopped in front of the video game aisle. Maybe Bob would like this. He was a guy after all, and overweight. He had to be a gamer, right? Your hand hovered over the new shooter release before a thought came to you. No. If he was a gamer, he'd already have this game. It needed to be something he'd have a use for, no matter how many he had of it. So the kitchen section it was. You went over to the aisle with the knives. God, there were so many. And you didn't even understand half of their uses. Or at least intended uses. So, in your desperation, you turned to a clerk. Excuse me, sir. He looked at you. The boy was probably not older than 16. Which of these knives would a... Oh God, don't say the first thing you think of. Don't say it. Don't say it. Cannibalistic serial killer prefer. And you said it. The kid just looked at you like this was a typical Saturday. Lady, just buy your boyfriend some sweets. What? Everyone likes sweets. Make it something you can suck on. For a bit. Lasts longer. Sour candy is often hard. And lasts long. We have a great sale going on. The kid had a point, but why the hell was he guessing boyfriend? How many women approached him and asked this exact question while talking about their boyfriends? You shook your head to get the thought out. Pushing your car to the suites, you started going through them one by one. You must have spent at least an hour contemplating. And as you made your choice, a lemon-flavored candy called Lemon Crime, you couldn't help but think it was terrible. But fine, better than nothing. You just moved to the cashier, paid, and picked up your phone. No one else saying anything cryptic or interesting on your way out. So was this a sign you did the right choice? Or were you going to die? Oh god, this was going to be your last Christmas, wasn't it? Bob was licking his lips. He had been looking forward to this since Halloween, when he first noticed you during the Colts gathering. Your soft skin was what attracted him to you. Skinning you, filleting you, using your bones in a stew, crushing your eyeballs under his teeth like chewing gum. Everything about you, he wanted to experience it. The butcher wouldn't need to hide from you. After all, you were a cultist, like him. All he needed to do was ring your bell. His red-painted fingers made contact with the button. The ring of it, like an angel's choir granting him passage. The butcher was starving, salvia flowing out of his mouth. And meekly he watched his prey open the door. Such a sweet face. She saw the blade in his right hand. Oh, such a sweet yelp. Skin her. Skin her. Skin her. Skin. She held up a red package, haphazardly wrapped around something. The killer blinked. Bob could hear his praise racing hard. Slowly, his hand stretched out, the pack crinkling in his hand. And without saying anything, he marched past you into your home, the closing of the door sounding like the thunderous clap of Thor. When Bob entered your house, you thought that he was being quite docile. The man just walked right into your living room. No invitation and no hesitation. Almost as if, Bob? Were you already in my house? He only acknowledged your question with a mild chuckle that said more than 1,000 words. He sat down on your couch. Bob was dressed in his devil butcher outfit that he only wore during special occasions, such as Halloween. With the precision of a surgeon, he pulled at the white string that held the present together. Slowly, the wrapper unraveled itself. Bob tilted his head. his eyes widening. He gulped. He took a single piece of candy out of the package and unwrapped it. Yellow heart candy, placing it onto his tongue before retreating it into his mouth. A bead of sweat ran down your forehead in sheer anticipation. And then he rammed his knife into a wooden table. You jumped back as he got up on his feet, and with only 2 steps he was right in front of you. The only way out was through the wall behind you. Damn it. Cornered. Like prey. He stared down at you. Did you know? He swiped away the spittle that covered his mouth. Statistically speaking, your skin weighs about 8 pounds and measures at about 20 square feet. His grin became toothy as his lips pulled back, his heavy hand resting on your shoulder. And did you know I was going to turn you into the greatest Christmas feast I ever had? That was going to be my present to you, turning you into the finest of art. But he turned his attention to the candy. But it just so happens that candy right over there is my favorite. No way, you thought. It was just simple lemon crime candy. It wasn't rare. It was quite common, in fact. But it fit the description of what the clerk told you. Plus, it was reduced by like 90%. He returned his focus on you. And that means you care about your life. And when you care about your life, I care about it too. Because you're part of the family. To underline his point, he tapped the talisman around your neck. Right. So I kinda have to do something else for you. I hope you'll enjoy it. His arm suddenly wrapped around your body, and he lifted you onto his shoulder. What are you doing? He didn't respond, just carried you upstairs into your bedroom, where he threw you harshly onto your bed. You gasped as air was pushed out of your lungs, heart pounding fast. As his claws took hold of your shirt, you knew what he was going to do. Wait, you said, and he stopped mid-motion. My mom sent me this sweater for Christmas. It was a tacky green sweater with a Rudolph stitched onto the chest. I would really hate it if it got ruined on Christmas. I mean, I wouldn't mind it if you shred it tomorrow, but not now. He blinked and then smiled at you. Oh, so you'd like me to come back tomorrow then? You blushed. Hard. No, I can take it off. Give me a second. He blinked. Wait. He seriously didn't think that. You shook your head with mild resignation as you pulled off your sweater. There, you stuttered as you felt the coolness of your room wash over your exposed skin. Bob then climbed over you, pinning your arms up above your head. He grinned. Are you ready for your present? I don't know, honestly, you said. I'll be gentle then. He pressed his lips on yours, warmth filling your mouth. Bob was a sloppy kisser, too much spit. It tasted a little lemony from the candy. It wasn't unpleasant at all. In fact, you kinda liked it. As he continued making out with you, he took hold of the rim of your pants, pulling them down to your knees. And it was then he removed his head away, latching onto your neck, his teeth pinching your soft skin. He really had been looking forward to biting you, tearing you apart, but the candy was better. His tongue licked over your flesh. You felt your body's heat rise as he went lower and lower, making sure to circle his tongue around your belly button. Your heart pounded faster, so loud, and you couldn't take your eyes off him. I wish to see you in every way, shape, and form tonight, said Bob seductively.